want to be Joe?
I know.
Do you want a seat up here or up here would be good, and we can chat with you.
Throw that down.
Is this yours? This is yours, right?
Later.
Yeah.
But you're playing the fiddle, right? You're about to there's no. But you just bring your guitar and play the campfire and stuff?
We have to see if how will that look on the feed.
So what if I could try guitar here?
Yeah. It doesn't go up any higher, does it?
No, it doesn't, sadly.
Unless you're on
We're a pretty pathetic little tripod over here.
So I want music stand up there. Music stand, which we've got right here. Check it out, see if the wind is there any wind low music around?
Why is it so hard? Global warming and humid and summertime? Global warming. Yes, global warming.
And El Nino.
Might be okay.
It's passing over the snow, isn't it?
Will you put it through the system at the same time as recording?
Yeah, we're taking sound.
But you put it through.
And we plug in.
Details. Okay.
Yep.
Although I like it better.
There they are. Good. Okay. I'm gonna have to find a new co-host. Running behind, you know?
Honestly.
It sounded like skating.
Okay, thanks, Leah.
Did you say Dave's not coming
clips
today?
What's that?
Monday's not coming?
No, Isaac isn't.
Isaac Monday?
Daddy, where are me, Mommy, and Emma
Yeah, his
Daddy?
dad is
I know
Where are
Dave.
me, Mommy, and Emma sitting?
You can sit wherever you want.
Right here.
No dog sounds in the background. Yes.
Different tune?
Doug.
Is that Doug who?
Doug. Yeah. The other member of the trio.
Like, sure they were fun, but I felt it was a much low budget title. I couldn't choose them off.
Doug's here. Fresh off the plane.
Want to meet our dog?
Pardon me?
Want to meet our dog?
Yes?
She's just having a drink.
Okay.
Hey.
Does she get a little too excited sometimes?
Sometimes.
Okay. And then you just got a puppy. Let's go see it.
Is the rest of the family here?
Yes.
They're at the children's building.
There's
So is this mic on yet?
Yeah.
Do a little sound check.
And then Dylan, do like part two.
Check.
I don't even know the puppy's name.
Since I'm already settled, do you just turn on that
Sorry,
monitor?
can you say it one more time?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, you need that. I twisted it the
Your
wrong
dad
way.
told me that.
Thanks.
So.
Okay, let's go see the puppy.
Check. Here we go. So, and a little through the monitor would be good. Pushing a wire oranges mostly good, some were sweet and ripe and round. I was a stranger you met with open heart. I was a stranger you met and let down your guard, risking sweet communion, risking sweet communion. She broke the skin, she chose the best and broke the skin. Hands weeping juice and blood, cradling it like the Holy Grail. She fixed her eyes on mine. She placed a segment in my hand and watched me hesitate. But once she said with raspy voice and in unison we ate. I was a stranger you met with open heart. I was a stranger you met with down your guard, risking sweet communion, risking sweet communion.
Oh yeah.
And I turned and walked away from the home of the vine. Now what lingered in my mouth was the taste of bread and wine. I was a stranger you met with open heart. I was a stranger you met and let down your guard, risking sweet communion, risking sweet communion.
Okay, so we're gonna get started, and then we'll. Excellent.
Daddy.
Thanks. So we're gonna start with having Sarah talk with us, and then can I call you out, present, and
Your phone's past 3 already.
yeah. What's that? Or we can just yeah. Sure. Or we can ask her. We can do 4.
Yeah, we got 4.
Awesome.
4 we can do.
Excellent.
Can you get in there?
I think we should have some juice up on the table.
Yeah, take the juice.
Yeah.
I want to take it.
And
So I'll just turn myself off here.
I can get the
Sure.
Like I can, that's on. I'll just, are you controlling the volume directly?
Yeah, thanks guys. This family, you're the best. What? Oh, of course lunch, Jimmy. Do you want to use it for the rest of the day and just take pictures and stuff?
Okay,
Sure. I think that there's a whole, so take some pictures, put them on the Skylight, and you can keep whatever ones you want.
Oh, Mom, you can keep that one. And you guys
But
can
you have to add a few to the Skylight. We do.
sit here.
Thank you.
You're like,
In between, yeah. But she can slip off.
but then I
easily,
can
though,
slip for you.
right?
too,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get a picture
Yeah.
before they get going.
Yes.
Looks like you're
And
talking.
Jess,
Yes.
could you take a picture too?
Oh man, with the big guys here.
That's yeah.
We did this once before.
We did do this once before. It was very early on. Right?
Yeah, it was,
It's-
yeah.
With the dog barking in the background.
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah.
Yep.
All right.
So we'll just pretend that we're talking and someone's taking a photo here, and then we're going to get started.
Okay, now Emma, can you move out of the way, baby? Please.
I think it was when you did this.
Emma, Leah, scoot out.
Blue Magnum.
Please. All right, you're talking. You're doing
We're
something
talking,
official.
we got Joe over here.
I better have my mic out here.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's like we got multiple conversations happening.
Side conversation.
Everyone,
It's a
dumb
confusing
cat.
podcast.
Everyone,
Turn to the left, you'll listen to the conversation between Dave and Joe.
Yeah.
That would be funny. That would be an interesting way to do a podcast.
Two podcasts in one.
Yeah, yeah.
Left and right channel.
That's right.
That would make sense like them all at once. Both at once.
And I said, don't ask me, ask the Marui family.
All right. How are we for sound and anything you need from us?
Start talking and I'll start.
Okay, so, all right, sound check. We're doing a quick sound check here.
Test. Yeah, okay, great.
Some of them try to rhyme, but they can't rhyme like this.
All right, you've done sound check, so
Yeah, I'm good.
should we open up with the theme music? Do you have that available for us? And are we live online?
We are live online.
Hello to everyone who may be connecting online. I don't know who that might be, but Doug's family, Doug's parents, hello to
Rob and Julia.
And welcome to the Illumin8Faith podcast. My name is Dave Exley, and with me,
I'm Doug Peck.
and we are here live at the Skylight Festival. Who's excited to be here at the Skylight Festival? Thank you for sounding like you are an impressive crowd. We are so glad that you're here. We're at the Edge tent here, and we're going to start things right off by talking with Sarah Chapman, who's on the Vision team. We've heard from you before, but we want to talk with you a little bit later on. We've got Joe Ramsey, who's got some music to share with us here, but we'll begin by talking a little bit about what's going on here at Skylight. What's been happening here? What is God up to? So, Sarah, how are you feeling about the festival so far? Here we are on Sunday. Tell us about what God has been up to this weekend.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been quite a weekend so far. We still have a little ways to go till 10 o'clock tonight, so it's been really wonderful. We've had a whole bunch of diverse speakers from musicians or speakers representing, climate change, other justice issues. We've had people talking about their own art and their expressions through art of their own faith or of the places where they are seeking justice in the world. And we've had diverse, different religious backgrounds or spiritual backgrounds. Earlier today we heard from Raheel Raza, who's an activist and does that through speaking about Islam and her faith tradition through her expression of being Muslim. And yeah, so God, I've seen God a lot in those formal spaces, listening to speakers and musicians. And what I like about the festival approach is it's a playful approach to sort of a conference. So you get to see God in lots of other places as well, as people are gathering around the food trucks, or we've created this living room in the middle of a field here at the Paris Fairgrounds, and there's couches set up and lamps, and people have been having informal conversation there that has also been really meaningful, and I've seen God through those conversations too. And also, of course, through this morning's worship, we had different people expressing their faith through song and through words, and through the children offering actions through a prayer. So lots of places where God is here. So.
That's great.
You put that so beautifully.
Well, thank you.
So I'm noticing there are people from all across the country and even outside of Canada as well. You probably have a better sense of where people are from, how far people have traveled. Tell us about folks that have traveled here from afar.
Awesome. So, within our contributors, we have we're trying to keep it a Canadian festival, so we have quite a few Canadian contributors. But we've also, Martin Joseph, Grace Petrie, and others have come from other places, both in the States and the UK, wanting to offer what they have before at other festivals. And the Greenbelt Festival and the Wild Goose Festival are sort of our mentors through the Skylight Festival, and so they've come from those festivals that people have seen them there and really wanted them to be a part of us. And I think they bring a certain energy, and also they can kind of take that back as well and talk about Skylight a bit. I also know there's lots of volunteers and other members of Skylight who have come from afar. I know there's this brother and sister team from that one of our Vision team members met at Wild Goose just a couple weeks ago and said, hey, we have Skylight. They're like, we're coming. And so they just got in their car and they drove up here and they've been volunteering for us all weekend, and they've been so great and really have appreciated their time here too. So it's been quite an amazing event, and coming together of people across the country as well. So people have flown from Vancouver and people have driven here from Nova Scotia. So it's truly a Canadian event.
And a pilgrim spirit, I'm hearing from you.
Yes, yeah, totally. Yeah, and there's some people that have kind of taken it as a pilgrimage, especially those two that came from Wild Goose. They wanted to come and make it a bigger thing for them. So, yeah.
Yeah, and Doug, you've been on a pilgrimage yourself. Just hopped off a plane, right?
Boy, are my arms tired, Dave. I got off a plane from Winnipeg. A colleague's wedding was just out there, and even at the wedding last night in Winnipeg, people were talking about Skylight. So it's very exciting to hear the buzz rippling through the ponds of our church world and beyond.
James Cone talks about, I love his theological concept of the living in the transcendent present, and I'm mindful of that as we're here today. You know, it may not be as large as some festivals and that type of thing. We may be early on in the stage, but is there a sense of sort of realizing what's possible with this festival and looking past and seeing where it might be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now? Have you been talking about that a lot as a Vision team?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as a Vision team, it's the progress feels slow when you're in the middle of it. But showing up here and realizing that we doubled our numbers from last year, and more people are hearing about it or tuning in or connecting, saying, you know what, we can't be here this year, but we really want to be next year, and or people that are like, I have this art or I have this musical offering that I really want to bring to Skylight. It just really fits with what I'm up to. So I can see, I totally see and have full hope and growth, and also that Skylight isn't just about a weekend in the year. It's something that about living into that sort of deep playfulness and deep justice, and seeing where those interconnect can be something that's much beyond that what just happens here at Paris. That can go home with people, and also that those authentic conversations can continue throughout the years.
We saw, we've seen some diversity in different denominations present. Obviously, a lot of United Church folk here, but can you give us a sense of what type of diversity? I've seen a number of different people from Anglican context, Lutheran, et cetera, et cetera. Do you have a sense of that?
Yeah, so I have a bit of a sense of that, although I feel like I'm every day meeting people from different denominations or different backgrounds. So I know for sure, like even this week, as a member of a Presbyterian congregation, we're like, we just heard about this, we're coming, so I think it's slowly making its way around the different denominations, at least in like Christian churches. But I also know, with having Raheel here representing, Muslim faith and Islam, that also broadens our doors to other people. And I know one of the youth that go to my church but is Muslim is here as well, and she's connecting that to her spirituality and her faith, and she sees it as very accessible to come to Skylight and connect that to her own faith background. I know that there's other people here who are atheists or don't have a connection and longing for, or longing for a spiritual connection and trying to make sense of that in this place and sorting through some of that here too. So I've heard a few stories of people just coming to sort of seek what's next for them in their spirituality. So.
I was recently reading a book about Mr. Rogers and him talking about how he created this children's programming to really articulate what he wanted to articulate as a Presbyterian minister of accepting people as they are, being able to be who you are. You are you, and God loves you as you. It sounds like you and your team have just so effortlessly made that kind of atmosphere here that just sounds like a very big success to just all of a sudden happen. What can I ask, what do you credit that environment where people can just be themselves and meet others as they are?
Well, I think it goes back to, again, the sort of informal spaces as well, where people are sort of open to connect in whatever way they want to, or with different options happening, people can decide which place they want to go that might be really different from other people. So that's why we kind of have a variety. Before the festival started, I kind of described the festival through my eyes as kind of like a campfire where we've built this thing that has a lot of passion, both from the vision team and beyond, and then we have welcomed people to the campfire and that invitation that people can come and they can receive what they need from that campfire, but that it doesn't have to do anything for them, but it probably will, and people will take home that sort of connection space, and that in between what is work and what is their life at home, and be able to take something back to those spaces. So yeah.
That's great. Well, I know that you need to step out and head somewhere else, so we appreciate you taking some time with us to reflect upon the weekend, and congrats, and thanks so much for all that you're doing for the festival here.
Yeah, thanks to you guys. Thanks for having me, and thanks for being such a supporter of Skylight. So awesome. Have a good day.
Sarah Chapman, everyone. It's too bad. I'm mindful. We should have had like the I don't know if you've seen the Seinfeld episode where Kramer's set up as the old Merv Griffin show. It's too bad we didn't have something set up like that here. Sort of canned music and breaks and things. But no, we're not going to take a commercial break. Instead, we're going to turn to our left. You're right, and talk to Joe Ramsey, who's been here, and we're especially thankful for Joe because you wrote our theme music for the podcast, and so every time we listen to it, we're listening to your sweet sounds on the guitar there, so we appreciate that. But you spent some time here. Tell us a little bit about what you've been doing here at Skylight.
Well, Dave, it's like any place where God's Spirit is moving in new and surprising ways. I haven't really done any of the things I planned on doing when I came, but jumping up and filling in and doing other things, including using my guitar a lot more than I thought I would this weekend. So Peter Woods is here with his saxophone, pitching a program for jazz music and spirituality in Ottawa. And so we hooked up last night and did about an hour-long playing for a group of folks here. Jumped into the worship service this morning on the spur of the moment and did some music leadership there. And jumping into this podcast kind of wasn't something I had on my schedule a week ago either. So it's been great that way. Also, though, Edge we're in the Edge tent. Someone asked me last night, what's the Edge tent? That sounds like a pretty innovative place, an Edge tent.
/ edgy.
The Sky tent, I get the Sky tent, but the Edge tent. And so we described this as the tent for the for Edge Network, which is a program and of the United Church of Canada that provides all kinds of services to our congregations and in a number of ways, and I too work with Edge, and in that capacity I'm here, and we're going to have this afternoon, we're going to host a conversation with a group of people to model how you can move from just engaging passionately in a conversation that matters about something important, right to the point where you've decided that there's some things that you can do in response to that conversation, to that probing and sensing in a complex question, and then to move into some ideas about action, something that can be done, all within an hour and a half, not with 18 months of study and 3 years of a pilot program. It's like in an hour and a half, we're going to go from conversation to thinking about here's what I'm going to do when I leave here. So just trying to model that this afternoon. So that's another thing that's happening here. So, but there's been all kinds of great stuff. Great musicians here. I mean, Martin Joseph and Heather Lynn and Matt Epp and just all kinds of super musicians. It's been a pleasure to just be able to sit back and hear their music and ministry as well. So that's been great. Yeah.
Well, speaking of using your guitar more than you thought, we thought you've been writing a lot of music for sort of a progressive Christian setting here, and so thought we'd have you bless us with your gifts and your talents and share one of your new songs with us. Tell us about the song that you're going to play for us.
Okay. This actually just came from a workshop by Martin Joseph talking about, says sometimes you write a song in 10 minutes and sometimes it can take 2 years. Well, this is a song that took 25 years. It's a song that I heard a preacher actually tell a story about an experience he had on Bloor Street in Toronto, and about a woman that he often saw on Bloor Street. and told this story as part of a worship service actually. And that story has kind of rambled around in my head for about 25 years as some words took shape. And so this came together and with the collaboration of a couple of other people that had some thoughts on it in the early draft. And it's called Sweet Communion.
I'd only watched her from afar, pushing her wire cart down below, filled with everything she needs to keep her life secure. She beckoned me down the alleyway to see what she had found. A crate of oranges, mostly good, some were sweet and ripe and round. I was a stranger you met with open heart. I was a stranger you met and let down your guard, risking sweet communion, risking sweet communion. She chose the best and broke the skin, hands weeping in juice and brine, cradling it like the Holy Grail. She fixed her eyes on mine. She placed a segment in my hand and watched me hesitate. Go on, she said with raspy voice, and in unison we ate. I was a stranger you met with open heart. I was a stranger you met and let down your guard, risking sweet communion, risking sweet communion. Then I turned and walked away from the home of the divine. Now what lingered in my mouth was the taste of bread and wine. I was a stranger you met with open heart. I was a stranger you met and let down your guard, risking sweet communion, risking sweet communion.
Joe Ramsey.
Thank you.
That was absolutely beautiful. Thank you. Beautiful song, yeah. And it's interesting thinking about the context of this weekend. I think a fitting song. A lot of people that taking risks this weekend and stepping out in faith, and in particular thinking about this as a Edge as an organization, and the team that's been visioning and putting together the Skylight Festival.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean the theme of God being present in the stranger is a pretty constant one throughout Scripture, and the idea that there's a lot of folks coming together here that are not only strangers to one another. Often folks at festivals like this kind of feel like strangers in their own towns and in their own homes, and sometimes in their own families, and yet they come here and find that people are ready to experience and see God in each other, even though they're strangers at first to one another. And so it's a pretty powerful image for the church right now, I think, and a pretty important thing to think about.
Opportunity.
Yeah.
So many strangers out there that Could you describe maybe you're talking about that holy space, that communion sacramental space that can happen in such a scenario? Could you also describe? I think I'm not alone in saying that I felt that holy space in you in those 25 years that the writing took. Has that been a holy longing in you for all that while until it came to pen and paper and got put down? Could you describe the holiness of songwriting?
Yeah, I mean, as Martin says, I mean, sometimes songs can come very quickly, and sometimes songs take a long time to sit. And I mean, the song is in fact a response to observing. I mean, Fred Craddock used to say about preaching doesn't start with the mouth; it starts with the ear. And when songwriting starts with being open to listening to the words and in hearing the stories and experiences of other people, and allowing that to become a holy thing, to speak to you in a way that says this is what God is doing in the world, and this is what that God is incarnate, not just in the person of Jesus of Nazareth, but in every living, breathing thing, and being able to. So listening and sensing is the first thing, but sometimes you have to sit with that for a while and allow that to take shape and come to make some meaning in your own heart and mind and soul before it can become a song. So. But it is a holy process. Now, mind you, I've told this story just as a story, many times in those 25 years too, and in the telling of the story, I think too, that helps it to acquire that significance and meaning for myself. So sometimes it's in the listening and the telling, and Martin was saying earlier in this at this event that he usually sings a song 75 times, in concerts in public before he actually records it, because he knows that it's in the telling of the song, the singing of the song. The songwriting isn't done as you were saying, from putting pen to paper or guitar notes on the page. The song continues to live too, and lots of artists continue to transition and develop music as years go by. So.
Go ahead.
Just another quick question. You've talked about music at these festivals like Skylight, and music is an essential part of church, of course, but music in this festival experience, this faith festival experience, it kind of explodes in a different way than within the sanctuary, doesn't it? Could you describe a little the difference and what that opportunity holds?
Well, I mean that there I think a lot of levels to that, a lot of layers. So I'll just respond to a couple that come to mind when you ask the question, and not to sound like I'm plugging my musical colleague and friend Peter Woods' work that he's doing up in Ottawa, but one of the things that he and I were talking about that's different about blues and jazz and kitchen party music in the Maritimes is that it is in the moment. It's music that inspirational or improvisational music is both inspiration, composition, performance, and appreciation, all in the moment, all in one moment. In the United Church, the main stable of our music is music where that creative process is spread over long periods of time. Including like 200 years ago, a song was inspired, right? And here we are now singing it 200 years later. Or even 50 years later, or even music that is simply written by a current contemporary musician, but is written and practiced and rehearsed and then sung. So what's different about Skylight, I think, is that there's an improvised feeling to it, even though the musicians and folks are all well prepared and well rehearsed and they know their stuff, but there's still a sense of this is happening in the now. This is God's present. And I think there's a kind of authenticity and sincerity, and it makes it real, So I think that where there's an opportunity in the United Church, in our music, is to allow for that kind of improvised style of music to become part of our expression of faith. And we look often to other other communions of Christianity that for whom the primary expression of their music is spontaneous, more improvisational, and we know that there's something to that, and yet we are slow to, I think, embrace that ourselves, not to get rid of other forms and ways of being musical as people of the Spirit, but we've been quite limited in not including that kind of inspirational and I say inspirational, improvisational is probably the word I should use, and spontaneous kind of music. So that's one response.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Have you got another one for us, Joe? One more?
Well, just the fact that we've been also limited. I think it's that we talk a lot about inclusiveness as a denomination and as progressive Christians, and we've been inclusive in a lot of ways, but not very inclusive musically. We sometimes are, but not as much as our profession would imply. In that we've been very limited in what instruments are played and what styles of music are used in worship, and what and again the difference between prepared music and improvised music. So I think we just have to broaden our understanding of the way in which music can inform our spirituality and the expression of our spirituality. So I'd say those two things. One is more improvisational to broaden it out in particular, but in more general, just more inclusive.
What I think I'm hearing from you in these responses is that the music from the festival can be in partnership with the music in the church, and the festival faith and church faith doesn't have to be mutually exclusive. They inform each other, and they can be in partnership and relationship.
For sure, and I know that folks that come to a festival like this and participate in some wider experiences of music within the context of faith. I mean, it's not like that we don't know this music. We hear this music in all kinds of other places, and but not in the church. So I think people that come here saying, "Oh, wow, this music that I love, whether it's country or jazz or pop or rock or whatever, or classical. I mean, they experience it here and they think, well, we could do this. This could be part of our own congregational life. So I think there's an experience of that here that people, I hope, will connect then to their day-to-day lives in their congregations and their churches.
They could put it to action, like you were saying before.
Yeah. You don't have to study it for 3 years and have a pilot project.
That's good.
You just try it. Yeah. One of the things we're talking about later, I mean, in terms of the edge work, is that in complex systems, in complicated systems where we can predict things, then you can analyze it, and you can analyze, and then you can respond to that analysis. But we live in very complex places, and a lot of what we have to do is just probe and sense and respond to, and in other words, what we need to do is to just try something, and if it works, keep doing it. If it doesn't work, stop doing it and try something else. The difference between planning till you're at a point where something is fail-safe compared to just trying something that is safe to fail, and if it fails, then that's okay. You move on to something else, and I think that's becoming more and more part of our reality. So, yeah, musically, just go and try something different,
Have you got one more song for us, Joe?
Yeah, this is a song that I have a friend who's a producer who is actually has a long history of producing folks like Al Green and Amy Grant and Andre Crouch and the Disciples and all kinds of Christian musicians over the years. Played keyboards with some pretty interesting people too, including Joe Cocker. but he's essentially a church musician, church producer, contemporary musician. He said, I was talking to him, he coaches me a little bit in songwriting, and he says, you United Church folks, lately, not so much in your older music, but lately, it seems that your newer songs, they often, you sing about God a lot, but you don't use music to express your love and your commitment to God. You don't express yourselves through music. You sing about God, a lot in your songs. And he said, why don't you try writing a song? So I thought, well, I think I'll write a song that is a sort of a devotional song that's Christological, but I want to give some good reasons that one might choose to follow Jesus. So this song's called "Jesus, I Give You My Heart and My Soul," but it's the verses that count too in this song.
Gathered round him all who were forgotten, the ones that others cast aside. He favored the poor, the lonely and the hungry, proclaimed God's love is strong and wide. Jesus, I give you my heart and my soul. I choose to follow in your way. In your life I see the true face of God, a path for living out my days, a path for living out my days. Jesus boldly stood opposing threats to justice, inviting us to rise above the violence that waits as a choice for every action, and rather choose God's gift of love. Jesus, I give you my heart and my soul. I choose to follow in your way, and in your life I see the true face of God, a path for living out my days, a path for living out my days. Jesus, I give you my heart and my soul. I choose to follow in your way. In your life I see the true face of God, a path for living out my days, a path for living out my days.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks for spending some time with us, and we certainly appreciate your gift of music and for pushing us to go a little bit further. I think it's something that I'm hoping that there are more people like you across the country that start to emerge, that I know they're already emerging, that have a new take on Christian music, and so appreciate all that you've done, and thanks for being on the show.
Well, thanks, Dave. Thanks for letting me join in.
Great. Okay, I should let everyone know that those of you that are here, we have free t-shirts. And so my apologies because I don't have a t-shirt cannon to shoot them from, but we do have free t-shirts, so I'm excited about that. So stick around and we'll share that with you. But
There's no t-shirt cannon, but there is a t-shirt puppy that will deliver it. Right?
yes, that's right. We could give it to Elsie over there, and she might deliver it to you. But
Or she might pee on it.
Okay.
That's the reality with puppies. We all know that.
We're live, Doug. We have to be, prepared for that. So think about it. Keep it clean. I'm realizing it's too bad that we didn't think this through a little bit more, because a big part of the podcast has been to go to remote locations and to record while eating. And it's too bad that we didn't go to the Las Phoenix to record there because there's this great food truck that's been here. Who's eaten from the food truck? Okay. Amazing food, always plenty of it. Doug, you've probably not eaten there yet, but maybe you need to get your dinner from there.
Nothing's more romantic to the missus when I say, hey, honey, let's go out for some Thai food.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, I thought maybe we'd take a moment as we're closing out here and maybe go around and have folks, because we've got some people here, and I'm sure that you might have something to share with us, because I've not had a chance. I know, Doug, you've not had a chance to go to all of the different workshops and events and things like that, but perhaps you can just tell us where you're from and what's been a highlight for you over the course of this weekend. Do you think you can do that? I think we can share. So Doug and I are going to get up now. And the camera's just going to be able to catch our voices, which is okay. So we'll get you to tell us your name and then give us a highlight of the Skylight, your Skylight experience.
I'm Evan.
And where are you from, Evan?
I'm from Oakville, Ontario.
Welcome. Long travel here to Paris. So, all right. Now, what's been a highlight for you, Evan?
I really enjoyed John Bell. Thought he was really funny.
That's great. Yeah, John Bell did a great job last night. We'll hear him again Sunday afternoon, late afternoon here. So looking forward to that. Glad you're here.
And I'm Jeff. I'm from Oakville as well. And I guess for highlights, boy, hearing the moderator speak this morning was really great and thought-provoking. And yeah, we're really well represented. It was really good.
Yeah, Jordan shared sort of the state of the church, and she seemed to share a lot of different stories. There's so many stories that she's sort of collected over the course of the last number of months that she's been moderator for us. Anything in particular out of that talk that she highlighted that really resonated with you?
Yeah, I really appreciated her bravery. I mean, she really took head on like Black Lives Matter and allowing for the diversity of the church to really be exposed for where we are, but also where we need to be. And no topic was off limits. It was really quite refreshing.
We're so glad that she's moderator of the United Church of Canada. Thanks.
So I'm Deborah from Oakville, and two highlights. One is being here with my family, so you've already heard from two, and there's one more. The other highlight is being in Tent Village. I love coming here and camping and meeting other people who are here, and there's communities that gather to eat together, and it's just a wonderful community.
It's great. It's great. And one more. I'm guessing you may be from Oakville. Is that right?
That is right.
Josh, is it Josh?
Absolutely.
All right, what's the highlight?
I have a few highlights. First one being the music. I can never get enough of the music in the anywhere. It's everywhere in the Skylight Festival, and I really like tenting, especially in the rain, which.
Wow, it's brave of you to mention that. That's great. Not many people love tenting in the rain, but you are in the right place. You came on the right weekend, Josh. That's great. Anybody in particular, when you think about music over the course of the weekend, highlights, new artists that you heard that you'll be going home listening to or downloading their music?
Not really. I like most people. And I'm also not very good with names.
You're going to go home and you're going to download a whole bunch of Martin Joseph music, aren't you? Yes, he's going to do that. That's great. Thank you to our Oakville folks here.
I'm not sure if this is on. So, I'm just curious if there's anyone over here that might want to share. Great. And I'm so sorry, what's your name?
Susan. And several highlights, some have already mentioned. One of them is connecting with people that grew up in Bowmanville for a while. So hi, Jeff and Deb. Nancy and Mark say hi. So connecting that way. And John Bell was excellent, as well as Peterson. I really enjoyed both those presentations. And the one here in Edge tent yesterday afternoon, where all those presentations about the programs, upcoming programs, and I thought that was really neat too. The raw carrot was one that stuck in mind.
Could you tell us more about that program, the Raw Carrot?
It is a company that is taking part in St. Paul's here in Paris that is making soup, and they're selling it, and they're hoping to develop. They're working 3 days a week and over 200 jars a month or a week that they're selling to the public, and they're just finalizing a contract with Farm Boy.
it's reminding me of what Joe said about putting into action. So often, sometimes with you, we just pray, and sometimes that might get people down. But putting it into action, can I ask, how does it make you feel when you see others putting it into action?
Well, it gave me some ideas to kind of go back to my own church and say, why can't we do something?
Yeah. Doesn't have to be carrots.
Doesn't have to be carrots.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much, Sue. And moving over here, do we have anyone else that wants to share? Hi, can you tell me your name, young man?
Sure. Rob Dalglish, and I'm with Edge. Love the raw carrot thing, and they're using people on ODSP. So the idea was to change the lives of people in their community for the better. And they're not only creating fabulous food and feeding people, but they're changing the lives of the people that work for them. And we heard some of those testimonies. Two stories come to mind at the festival. First one, walking by the couch garden this morning, and there's a young, very young, maybe 6 or 7 year old girl sitting in one of the chairs, like with her legs crossed and in a very stylish pose with the phone that's sitting on one of the, she's not plugged in, but the phone to her ear, and she's having a conversation. I thought, oh my gosh, the children are hearing the call.
Powerful.
It was wonderful. But there's lots of kids around, and it's totally transformed. Totally encouraging. Raheel Raza noted that in her CBC article this morning. The other one is Mark McDonald in his conversation yesterday, and he was talking about reconciliation and relationship. And as one in the dominant culture, as time goes by, if you engage in it, you get clearer and clearer on the trauma, on what we've done in Canadian society with our Aboriginal people and the destructiveness of that. And then to hear him talk about his hopefulness for Canada was a powerfully moving experience. And he said, and I asked him, what's the source of that hope? And he said, well, I see changing. I see changes. I see more people coming to the feast, and he's hopeful. So that was good news.
Thank you, Rob. And Rob Dalglish, of course, with Edge Networks, and we've had him on Illumin8Faith before to talk about all the innovative things going on in the world of Edge. So thank you for that. And I thought, Rob, you talking about kids was a powerful segue to maybe hear from somebody who might define themselves as a kid, talk about maybe some of the fun kid stuff that goes on here. Hello, can I ask your name?
Leah.
Hello, Leah. And have you taken part in any of the kid stuff here?
Not yet.
Not yet.
What have you done that's been fun?
Probably going here and listening to you guys.
Leah, you're going to get a t-shirt for saying that, delivered by a puppy. Okay, is there anybody else that wants to talk? I have a little 2-year-old that all of a sudden is going to try and scream something into the microphone. But can I ask your name?
My name is Emma.
And what have you done that's been super fun this weekend?
Well, just listening to all the different speakers, and it was really fun to go with my family.
Awesome. This is putting a real softness in my heart for someone that likes to do things with my family. This is a family event. This is for every single generation in the house. So hopefully we'll get more grandmas and grandpas out next year. Not that there haven't been many already.
Well, I think that's it for this week's episode. We certainly thank you for coming and experiencing this with us. Look for more episodes because we've had a chance to talk to some people here. Earlier sat down with John Bell, so in an upcoming episode you'll listen to John Bell kind of expanding on his talk that he did last night here. Looking forward to having that be an episode up in the upcoming weeks. But Doug, thanks for flying home early, right, to get here.
Always a pleasure.
Thanks, Joe, for being with us once again, and
thanks to Sarah.
Once again to all of you. We've got free T-shirts, and make sure you get those before you head out. But thank you, and enjoy the rest of your Skylight experience. And for anybody who might be online, thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time on the next episode of Illumin8Faith.